strikes me as I was listening to the panel before, great job for that panel as well. One thing that strikes me is that a lot of the talk yesterday and today was about measurement and metrics and proof that things are actually happening in the classroom, the children are absorbing things and being able to use them. Our orientation in the Child Activity Center industry, and hopefully this will give you maybe some hope for all of us to integrate what's happening educationally, intellectually, with the physical part of what's happening. Because in the physical domains of what we do, gymnastics, cheerleading, swimming, dance, etc., the measurement is built in. Children are either making progress or they're not. It's really quite simple. So in our industry, the proof has always been there. Sometimes it's just proof of a child's individual best, their personal best, of course, which is overarching, or it's in competition, or it's both. But the metrics are already there, and we'd love to see that built in. What I'm privileged to do in this half hour, this is a 1-hour presentation that I'm attempting to pull into half an hour for you, and I'm a really fast-paced presenter. At the end, there'll be a QR code that you're welcome to scan, and you take it with you. You can have it just downloading it. I'm telling you that in advance because when I start, I go at warp speed. And the reason I do that is, number one, I want to convey a lot of concepts. I don't want to have you figuring that you've got to write everything down. But number two is, and most importantly, I don't want to insult your intelligence. We have a lot of things to cover today in this 30 minutes, and we don't fool around with it. So this navigating tomorrow, I'm hoping this slide advances, and it's really not. We'll try a different button here. That's the one. Okay, different button than I was told. All right, that's cool. So what we're trying to do is equip you today with the foresight and knowledge to survive, thrive, and lead. To give you just a really, really quick overview of the evolution of this industry, when I was a young coach, and when I was 15, I started gymnastics. When I was 17, I was coaching. And when I was 23, I was running my own business. Okay, that's been a long time. So I'll be 72 in 2 weeks. It's the children and the fire and the excitement of this industry that has kept me young. You stay young because your thinking is young and because the influence that you might have keeps propelling you forward. And my journey from that to running a business, to being able to build a large facility, to be able to start consulting, to build national organizations, to build international organizations, etc., as I'll kind of quickly illustrate for you, has been a marvelous journey. But it's always been sharing what you think you know, because you can't come from a place of, this is what I know, I will teach you this. No, if you're lucky and fortunate enough to help develop success pathways for people, that's the key. Success pathways for children, for coaches, for managers, for other owners, associations, etc. And as that philosophy takes hold, sharing what you think you know and getting people to collaborate, your vision and your vision gets better and you're able to do more things. Nobody's got a perfect crystal ball, but that methodology actually works. So what we'll do really quickly here, and you'll laugh if you knew how many slides I had, you'd laugh already and go, you're not going to possibly do that. I might, it's possible. But we're looking at your course and your compass, why it's our time in history right now as educators, the 4 transforming C's. They were talking about oceans. We're going to talk about oceans a lot in this one. The 3 changing tides, 5 tidal trends, and finally those waves of change. It's all just themed this way. So this is me, I guess, the same. It looks funny on this slide because it looks like if I was a gymnast for 7 years, a coach for 30 years, an owner of an activity center for 40 years, and a consultant for 25, it looks like I'm like 117 years old. And if it is, I look really good for 117, right? So at any rate, this was the journey. My lovely wife and I live in Puerto Rico. We moved there 4 or 5 years ago. Not much to Puerto Rico, really. The people, the music, the ocean, the rainforest, the food. And anybody else? There's one more thing. Oh, dance is very good. We do salsa for sure. And as educators, many of you who are entrepreneurial might know this other reason. Taxes. I'll leave it at that. Anyway, that's basically our front yard. So the center that we developed, and this is critical, because our industry, this was the center we had, it's about 45,000 square feet. It's gymnastics, cheerleading, swimming, dance, full-day childcare, educational preschools, after-school programs, day camp programs, indoor rock climbing, indoor playgrounds, a lot of outreach, etc. It was a full facility for sports, arts, education, and entertainment. This industry grew from a business perspective. The currency when I was first coaching, the currency was winning. Could you have a worse currency than winning? But that was it. But as you mature through, it became, I think this is a profession. As a business person, this has got to be a vocation. Even more, we've got to have a successful business now to hire and train other people and pay them well. And eventually, where the industry has gotten to, it's investment quality now. Investor groups are in the industry. We deal with a lot of mergers and acquisitions. So the journey of profitability is really great, but the mission hasn't changed. And it's how do we develop children so they can cope with what's going on in today's world. So charting your course with your strategic objective sales. I don't know what yours are. I just know that my journey has been from that center, the Wings Center in Little Boise, Idaho, to this third-level consulting, to a group that we call Leap Learning, to another company that we have called Swim Consultant, to Spectrabilities, which is a licensing program for children with special needs, which actually turns into a business, to Zen Tiger Mind, which is wellness and mental health training for athletes and coaches, to the IACDP, which is a not-for-profit international association, to what we call Metaspheres. So that's been my journey. But this doesn't have to be this maelstrom, right? It doesn't have to be that. What we have to find out, and you have to find out as well, as educators or as coaches, what are the rules of the game? And this is Einstein that said this. I love this. And playing them better than anybody else. So how do you set your compass for directional harmony? So in any of those acquisitions of those companies that we have, we look at it this way. We're trying to get everybody moving in the same direction. So what are the goals? It sounds pretty simple. What are the plans? What are the roles? And what are the rewards? So what are we going to deliver? How are we going to achieve those? Who is going to contribute to that? And what's in it for me? And that what's in it for me, we'll come back to that again through the presentation, because it is important. What's in it for me is what everybody feels. High school students, elementary students, junior high students, college students, young adults, mid-age adults, old people, everybody's thinking exactly the same thing, and that's okay. We just have to deal with that. In these type of companies, we've learned to let the crew sail the ship, and that's really what it is designing success pathways for people and then letting them sail it. Matter of fact, I'm in Vegas for this, but we just had 2 days of strategic meetings on Sunday and Monday with our key teams from those companies, figuring out where they want to take the company over the next couple of years. So when I say this is our time in history, that's what I mean. We have a dynamic industry, and this is the whole thing. Children's activity centers, which in our case are more physically based, but deal with the physical, the mental, the emotional, the social, even the spiritual to a certain extent, from presentations and when they compete. All of that is important. And I think the more we blend classic education in the classroom with the physicality of these children's activity centers, I think we have the ability to be the influencers in society and really build some strong partnerships. One of the ways that people market these days is they work 3 different ways. Business to business, they relate with each other in the community. Business to the community, being involved in the fabric of the community. And business to education. how do we dovetail with education? And I would think that you would find some incredible partners and partnerships with some of the children's activity centers in your community. And so just brainstorming with them as well. It's going to take all of us to equip these children with these skills that they need. It's just the coping skills they need. I'm not going to read you slides, by the way. So again, if you came in a little late, the QR code will be at the end. Yeah, we have to be very smart strategically. We've been through a lot. In the gymnastics arena, we went through the Larry Nassar thing. If you think that was positive marketing, you're completely mistaken. That marketing was the worst marketing you could possibly have. But we fought through it, and 99.9% of the schools that were out there were good ones, and they had good reputations. They made it through, only to run flat into COVID, right? And that funding we had was okay for maintaining staff, but many people lost their facilities and lost a lot of momentum and couldn't get it built back up again. And now we have all the current socio-political conditions that are here. But we are in this position to assist. And I think we're going to need to blend public and private to a large degree moving forward. So we look at 4 different transformational, what we call C's or C's. How clever. First one is consolidation. So in our industry, what's happening right now, there's a lot of growth, but the market is consolidating to a certain degree, mainly because of the last bullet point there, the landscape of investor and investment relationships and the trends that are there. For example, these people that are in the marketplace right now, and those of you that are entrepreneurial, by the way, if you're thinking, yes, I'm an educator in the public system, and I work for the government, I work for the local educational concerns, fine. But all of you I know have entrepreneurial thoughts as well, and many of you are doing second things that are out there. I know you are. And those things can be integrated into this larger group. These investor groups are looking for things that do have basis in education, whether it is formal education, whether it is private education, whether it is refound education, whether it is a new kinds of education for 0 through 5, or whether it's our industry, the Children's Activity Center industry. So just know that they're out there. Those of you that are entrepreneurial and have intellectual property that you might be able to license, be thinking that way. You'd be surprised where it might end up, and we're happy to have discussions with you about that. I'm not going to cover these, but right now we do a ton of valuations and a ton of business brokerage. Actually, I have 2 of my associates with me today. I have Mr. Jeff Lulla here, who is actually one of the United States Gymnastics Association's key speakers and safety presenters, as well as curriculum. And I have Mr. Ron Ludwig here also, who's my partner with business valuations and business sales and M&A. So in this industry, and you may not have to deal with this, but we do. So if you are funded by the public or through the school systems, you might take your paycheck for granted. We don't. We have to make it happen. And the only way we can make it happen is through quality programs that truly affect children to the point where their parents feel it, to the point where they actually are willing to pay for it, so we can actually pay our people, pay our bills, and try to generate a return. Most of you probably have children or nieces or nephews or whatever it is that you have that have been in sports, and you know how the parents back that if it's good. And if it's not, they pull them out or find an alternative. So we have a lot of reality therapy in our industry, and I think that we need to address that as well going forward. All right. Collaboration is something that is really critical now. This is the main reason I'm here, is to listen to other people and other thought leaders and to see what they're thinking in this industry. It's really, really important. One of the things that we did out of COVID was develop this IACDP, which is this not-for-profit International Association of Child Development Programs. And you can see here from the mission, I don't need to read it to you, but what we did was try to blend the Child Activity Center owners, great educators, great suppliers, and great associations, and great investor groups as well, so people had a 360-degree look at the industry. And I encourage you to think about that in your own sphere of influence. How can you define what your universe is and build a collaborative effort there? Because collaboration is going to happen. Consolidation is happening in our industry, but collaboration is even a bigger factor. Creativity, of course, is a big one. We all know that we have to have new kind of educational programs that are coming up now. And we'll talk about that a little bit more as we go. But what are we doing to enhance that creativity, I guess? In our particular case with child activity centers, they're adding special abilities programs, they're adding parenting classes, they're adding mental health workshops, they're adding diversity and bias training. They're trying to figure out how to work grants in, and that's working out now too. We have to be creative about not only our businesses, but just education in general. And I hope you're not sitting here resenting the business part of what I'm talking about, because it's out there, it's real, and those of you that are entrepreneurial, you know what I'm talking about. And even if you are not, that's not your natural bent, please don't take your checks for granted. What you're paid comes from somewhere, and we have to justify that. Competition is another one, right? That's another reality that's there. And competition means you have to be 100% professional all the time, every day, and really trying to continually challenge ourselves. You people already do that. You wouldn't be here if you weren't the type that wasn't challenging yourself. I know that. But the main thing, and we were talking about this on the panel yesterday, is that we have gone from an economy that used to be goods, and then it was, oh, we're a service economy. It's like, oh, now we're an experience economy. Actually, now we're a reality economy. What kind of realities are there, and how can we deal with that? And all these things are there. We have to navigate these for these children. Put it in a place they can understand, at a pace they can understand, that engages them and empowers them to take the next step. That's what we're here for, in my opinion. One of the things that we do in the child activity center industry that's extremely successful, and I don't know if you've thought about it in these terms before, but we design the customer experiences in advance. In our industries, in our sports and arts, the top schools do not run their programs and then survey to say, how did we do? They actually design the experience. What is the child going to experience? There might be, how many touch points are there? From the minute that child comes in to the minute that child leaves your sphere of influence, there might be 15, 20 different points. At each one of those points, how do we actually excel? How do we actually make that experience lift? Same thing for the parent. In our case, the parent's really important because they bring the child, they make some decisions, they actually pay the bill. So we have to design the parent experience as well. And then, of course, paramount too is the staff experience. So these child X, parent X, and staff X, really important that we design the experience in advance. So we kind of know what's going to happen, and we want to make sure we enhance that experience. That's how we get ahead in these particular industries. So in these seascape tides, and I'll always just flip through these quickly because you guys know these pretty well. The technological advancements, we're in what we call a tech tsunami right now as far as I'm concerned. There's a lot of different predictions out there with AI chat and all that. And we will be in more of a metaverse doing these things. Again, I'm not going to read you slides. My time is limited, so I want to be sure we're getting through. There are new norms out there. The gamification of virtual and augmented reality is what's going to happen. All kinds of things that you can go back and look at these slides. Feel free to do anything you like with these slides. I do not care if you take it, paraphrase it, and present it someplace and part of it with your name on it. You don't have to credit me or anything else. I simply don't care. What I do care about is us having impact as a group. Educators are working ahead. Many of you know Salman Khan of Khan Academy. Just put out a new book called Brave New Words, and I like that. It's really a good one. You might just pick that up. Just a resource for you if you haven't already seen it. The other thing is the socioeconomic tides that are coming here quickly. We know that we have dual income households. We know that there's diverse family structures. We know that there's generational family structures. And we know that there's economic disparities, duh. All right, we know all these things are there. How can we design some of our curriculums or our education to make people understand that these shifts are there. A lot of them are being economically driven. How can we help children cope with those things? There's also some evolving behaviors. That's another one of the changing tides. Employees have changing tides, that's for sure, and consumers have changing expectations as well. There's a lot that are going on right this very minute. One of the things that we have in terms of staffing challenges in the private sector, I'm not sure if it's in the public sector, you can tell me if it is or not. One of them is a sufficient supply. There's the concern across all child activity centers as far as that goes. After COVID, there was a reflex, obviously, where people didn't want to necessarily go back to work. And it was kind of cross-dovetailed with, I'm not sure that I want to work, or I want to work as hard. So there was supply, there was the speed at which we needed to train, there was the training content, and there was the work ethic and longevity. So these things were challenges that we faced in our industry, and we sort of solved them. And the way we did it was the universal challenge to excel. And this is probably the number one tip of the mountain that we could actually succeed. Because when we start looking at the problems or the issues, fine, that's one thing. But how do we get higher? And it's almost always the challenge to excel. So whether it is the personal success cycle, how do we work with them personally to succeed, whether they understand their positions really well, and whether there's effective evaluations. These things can all go into this challenge to excel. And nobody probably said it better than Mandela. One of the last little items here is these tidal trends. And again, you can go back through these slides. I just wanted to deliver enough information to be sure that you had it here. This AI, sustainability, corporate responsibility, global connectivity, regulatory frameworks. This is what our top owners globally in sports and arts are thinking now. So if you don't take anything else away from this, be sure you take away knowing there's another whole segment of the industry in sports, arts, etc., that is working really, really hard at the grassroots and that are available for partnerships for you. They're thinking about all these things too. And you do think about all these things, but just know there's another side of the equation that's here. All right, so this will go through, and when you get these slides, you'll see the different arenas here of artificial intelligence, all the things that we need to do. The one thing that we've talked about, that second bullet point that talks about the human touch, the more high tech we get, the more high touch is going to be needed. It's the same relationships with it. Children's relationship with their own body, relationships with any kind of performance equipment, relationships with a coach, relationships with other classmates, etc. We need to continue to encourage that whole social interaction. It's very, very important. And sustainability, this is the green future. I know you're teaching it in your classrooms, in your schools, in your districts, but just know that we are thinking the same thing on the business side because consumer demand is such that our customers are more likely to do business with businesses that are sustainable, green, and have that mission, and that are educational alignment with what's being taught in the private and public schools, and especially the ones that are doing innovative methodologies. So there's a lot of ways we adapt. We adapt to green for energy efficiency, for local sourcing, for curriculum integration. It's just good business all the way around. We also understand that we have corporate social responsibility. Lawrence Fink said this, and I really like this. Every company's not only got to deliver financial performance, but they must make a positive contribution to society. So please just know that on this other side, we are working really, really hard. And I know you probably don't hear this from people like me very often, but you're hearing it this morning. All right. Again, just down the slides, I'm going to go a little quicker. Global connectivity is a big deal too. And I think the reality is that children are digital natives today. There's no doubt about it. We need to have diverse classrooms as much as we can. One of the things that we've done is we've now established a virtual metaverse throughout the child activity centers. And you can see the different areas that are there in terms of the different sports and arts. But notice that down on number 10 is the Child Development Educational Center. So that's where education will live. all of these meta spaces, people will be able to come into that with their avatar, hyperlink from place to place, and explore what they want to explore. So this is coming in the next little bit. It's kind of cool. It's just nice that we know it's coming. We know that the metaverse is here. We know AI interface is here. We know gamification is going to be important. And we know that learners have to be self-directed. So on an open campus where they can actually be self-directed learners, that's the key. Education's got to be the watchword here. Connections and collaboration is what it encourages because you can collect and collaborate with anybody. And from an entrepreneurial standpoint, yes, it's got to have an e-marketplace as well. So those of you with brilliant ideas out there, you'll find a home for those. Our saying on this, or the formula on this, is HI plus AI equals MLR. So human ingenuity enhanced with artificial intelligence equals maximum learning results. And that's what we are all after. It's just a formula for you to think about. Again, you're welcome to steal it. That's totally fine. But it leads to all these things. And self-directed learners on self-directed journeys, that's the key. That goes back to what's in it for me, right? That's where they're at. So they'll be able to find things in our particular industry. I want to find out more about different swimming strokes. I want to find out more about particular types of jumps in gymnastics. Fine, I'm going to interface with that. I may go and find a whole section that's here. There's a whole seminar on jumps or swimming. I can find that's there. I can bring my friends in. I can have a personalized tutor. I can do whatever I need to do, and it's going to be pretty cool. I don't know who that guy is, but yeah. Anyway, these things are there. You can connect with me if you like, but the gamification is really where it's coming out. The 3 or 4D models is where it's coming to. You're welcome to connect with me anything you like. I'm not going to go through regulatory frameworks. You deal with them. In our industry, this is really important because we are not government regulated, but we are going to be at some point. But we are taking that into our own hands at first, mitigating all the risks that are out there, and showing government entities and agencies like OSHA that we are handling this in advance. So the adaptability, innovation, collaboration, all that's there. So navigating tomorrow is a big deal. And I think that that's where we want to be. You're welcome to scan that if you want. I'll leave that up for a few moments, or if you want to connect with me, you can. I did 70 slides in 28 minutes. I know. And were you bored? Good. That's good. Then I did my job. That's pretty cool. You know, I was telling people yesterday, if you weren't in the room, that it was so funny just lovely to be in a room full of formal educators that have really great, solid educational backgrounds and really are striving to the top. And me with my environmental science and philosophy degree and gymnastics scholarship, not an educator in the formal sense at all. But the truth is, impact is all that really matters. That's what really matters. And I think as long as we all continue to share what we think we know, I think we're going to be in good shape. So I hope this was of use to you. And feel free to contact or communicate at any time. We're wide open. I'll be here for a couple of more hours here today, and we'll go from there. And again, thanks to Education 2.0 for putting this on. We really do appreciate it, and hopefully you got something out of it.